Hey guys, I'm back. I've been sleeping a little bit more normal. I haven't had as many nightmares, so that's good. I took Keith to the airport yesterday, and so that was kind of a challenge because I woke up around midnight and I was trying to play with my sleeping schedule all week long, so that wouldn't happen, but it did anyway. So I was dead tired when I had to drive him there, but that went okay anyway. I came home, I went to bed a couple hours after that, and then I've been up again since midnight last night, so I'm a little bit tired. It's now almost 11:30 my time in the afternoon, so which wouldn't be that big of a deal if I had slept 8 hours, but I did not sleep 8 hours, and I need a lot more sleep than just a few hours here and there. But that's neither here nor there. I'm doing this video mostly because this is the end of any happy fun time for me. um, I had spoken in the last video about when I have something bad happen to me, I go back to old patterns, and I can't afford to do that anymore because it ends up making me even worse. For example, I ended up getting way more cramps, much more fatigue, much more insomnia when I was eating poorly after that other event that I had talked about that had kind of scared me. What's really weird though is I'm annoyed and I'm displeased because and look, everyone has problems, but at the same time, it pisses me off a little bit. I mean, why can't I just eat what everyone else is eating? I'm not saying that eating anything you want is healthy. It's just that I know that most people are able to go out there and have a couple Cokes or Pepsis and go to McDonald's or go to Wendy's or have TV dinners or cake or ice cream or anything, and they're not going through severe pain. Now, why I even go through the severe pain from it is I have no idea, which is why I'm having the colonoscopy done. Um, that's the other thing too. It's like this week I'm using as a detox for myself. After midnight, I'm going to quit smoking. I will not have any cigarettes in this apartment. I'm not going to leave this apartment, and he doesn't fly back until October 1st. So I'm just going to do it and get it over with. I know some of you might be thinking, oh no, you probably won't, but no, I'm going to. And if I have to stay in bed the entire time, I will. I'm not looking forward to going through nicotine withdrawal. I know it's not as bad as benzo withdrawal, that's for damn sure, but it's still very uncomfortable and I don't like it. And the truth of the matter is, as much as I hate smoking and as much as I hate everything that goes along with it, from health issues to the money that I spend on it, there's still a small part of me that doesn't want to quit, and it's neither here nor there. Whether I want to or not, I must stop. So that's going to be taking place very shortly. The thing is with all the other stuff, it's almost like this week of detoxing myself and going back on a really healthy diet and then moving back to exercising, and then which I've only stopped for about a week, so I shouldn't be that deconditioned. Although knowing me, who knows? But I just feel as if I have no outlet anymore. Smoking was one of the last things that I did have. There's nothing else I can do. I mean, I can't take benzodiazepines, obviously, if I get nervous about having a doctor's appointment. So that sucks. Um, and the other thing is, too, is if I didn't have doctor's appointments coming up and if I didn't have to do all this stuff, I wouldn't have all the concerns that I currently have. But I don't know. I'm just not looking forward to it because even after these 8 days or 7 days before he gets back, after that, I'm going to start making all those doctor's appointments. And it's not something I want to do, and it's not something that I'm prepared for. It's not something that I have a support system for. And I don't deal well with things like that at all. I don't deal well with the idea of having a colonoscopy because I'm really squeamish about intestines. I don't like the idea of that. I have reactions to medications, and unfortunately, these are things that I'm going to have to, do, and hopefully that nothing's going to stir up any problems, like, especially like what happened to me before. So the goal with the colonoscopy, of course, is no benzodiazepines. There's other ways that they can sedate me. There's other ways they can knock me out, and so I'm going to have to do that because I'm not putting any form of benzo into my body. The other thing is too is even more scary for me, which would sound ridiculous a little bit, is I'm scared of the colonoscopy, but I'm even more scared of blood work because I faint, from that at times, and it really triggers a lot of problems with me. For some people, it's not a big deal, but if you're having it done and you're passing out and you feel sick and you don't bounce back right away like other people from fainting, you'd have the same situation. It's not just, oh, well, I'm going to pass out for a minute and then I'll come back to and everything's fine and dandy. It takes me a good 48 hours to really, my body to readjust. And that's another reason why I don't know why that happens, but hopefully we can try to find that out. I've gotten to a point where, like I had said in another video, where I don't want to do it, but I'm doing it anyway. I find that there's no point in living without getting some form of treatment at this point for the health issues that I do have. Anxiety I can deal with, on and off depression I can deal with. How I'm going to cope with all the doctor's appointments and tests, I'm not sure how I'll deal with. But what I can't do any longer is continue to be in pain, continue to keep bloating and having cramps so severe that I'm almost passing out from pain. I can't continue to have like all the stuff that goes on with me with the heart rates and everything. It's just not good. They have to find out what's wrong, and I'm going to have to do all the things that I can possibly do on my end to try to figure that out. I've investigated certain medications for certain things. At this point, I'm guessing it's not like I'm concerned about it or worried about it, but if it comes to ulcerative colitis or Crohn's or celiac disease or whatever, I don't think it's celiac disease, only because if you guys remember, I did that DNA test and I don't have the most common gene for celiac, so I don't think it's that, although when I do consume wheat products, I tend to get more cramping than if I don't. So who knows, with that. My point was the medications I've investigated, there is some newer ones on the market that I would never touch with a 10-foot pole. There's the older ones that some of them I would take, some of them I would not, but I am going to cherry pick which treatment I would do, because none of these things will cure Crohn's or colitis if that's what it is, and I'm not going to just simply take anything and then have my body react to it. Some people are really lucky, they take a lot of drugs and they don't have problems, just like there's people that have done chemotherapy and they can still work, and my mother was absolutely just bedridden. There was no choice. It wasn't as if she could just push through and do this. She was incapacitated from the chemotherapy. It was no ifs, ands, or buts. She wanted to go to work and she could not. And with the chemotherapy, even when it stopped, the diarrhea never stopped. She could never gain weight. She melted down to 89 pounds. And this is, of course, before the stroke she had that killed her. I tend to be as sensitive to medications as she is. So regardless if a doctor is angry or not that I'm choosing not to do a certain treatment, it's their problem, it's not mine. I will find a doctor who will do the treatment that I'm comfortable with and not just do it because doctor says. I've learned my lesson from doing things like that. I guess my only concern is, at this point, it being something that is going to be ongoing. Like, for example, if it was ulcerative colitis, this entails you having a colonoscopy every 2 years. If my esophagus is severely eroded from all the reflux problems that I've been having, that's an endoscopy down your throat. I think it's every year or 2 years. And I personally feel, some people it wouldn't be a big deal, but for me it is. And that's just who I am. But it feels as if I would never get this break. Because how I look at it now is, I'll do the colonoscopy, I'll get it over with. I'll do the endoscopy as well down my throat, I'll get it over with. But there would be really no getting it over with if I had to keep doing it every year or every 2 years. I'd feel, at this time, until I can adjust my mental thinking, I would feel in a perpetual state of simply never having a relief. It's always the next thing I'd feel over my head. So that's something I have to work on. I had emailed a therapist locally to see if she could take me in. I do not want once a week. I want twice a week. I don't think that my story, even you guys haven't even listened to all my videos. Some of you have, some of you have not, but I don't personally feel that an hour, or not even an hour anymore, 45 minutes once a week is really going to get anybody up to speed of what has happened since 2009, with just the highlights of that being the extreme benzo withdrawal, the treatment from that, my mother being diagnosed with cancer, cancer returning, my mother dying, my friend dying in California from cancer, and of course every other thing that's gone on since then that I've spoke about or have not spoke about. At this point, the story is way too long, and I have certain concerns psychologically of how to deal with things, and I have other concerns that are physical, and what I really would need is the therapist to focus on both, help me get through it, but at the same time know that I'm talking about physical things as well and not grouping it all into just everything psychological. That will not help me, because what would benefit me the most is having a therapist that believes me, listens to my story, doesn't just kind of half-ass listen to it, but listens to it, get what's going on, and then can send a note to the doctor saying, okay, no, I believe that this is not psychological. That would be one of the best things that can have happened. She did email me back, which is a surprise, because I have wrote to doctors and people before, and I have never gotten a response. She did. Unfortunately, she only works 2 days a week. She's booked up right now. She did give me a referral to other people. I may try that. 3 of them are men, and 1 of them was a woman that she had given me options for. I'm not really comfortable talking to male therapists. I'm not sure why. It's just something that I have. I'm way more comfortable talking to women. And so I'm going to look into the person that she had, recommended. But as far as this goes, I would like to think that I'm going to continue making videos. I might make them more frequent. I might make them way more sporadic. It's really going to depend on how I feel when I go through nicotine withdrawal. It's going to matter on how traumatized internally I am from having to do things that absolutely scare me to do. The upside is I am going to absolutely demand now that I get answers to what is wrong, because in reality, since 2009, well, it was the start of the benzo withdrawal, but probably since about 2007 when things really started kicking in, I have been so sick that I have no life. And other than these videos and I see Keith and talk to my father, and I talked to my mother when she was still alive, it's like I don't exist. I am not able to have a part-time job, not because I don't want to, I just am unable to. A lot of people don't see it that way. They think, whatever they think about me, but at this point I don't care what they think about me. It's the damn truth. I cannot function as a normal person would. I think that a lot of my bad days would send most people to the ER. I just sit with it now because I have no other option, and there's not like they're going to do anything. I think that a day that normal people have that is considered bad to them is one of my better days, and I'm able to push through it, go to the store, or do whatever I have to do. So I would really like to just get things once and for all organized. My concern is that something will happen during one of the tests. I guess what my main fear is this. I have had doctors mess me up before, and I'm messed up now as it is physically. I don't want them to do something that makes me worse, and not only makes me worse, but then turn around and say that they didn't do it. I do not want to end up with any of the rare side effects that can happen from any of these procedures. And of course I can't predict that, but at the same time, I tend to be prone to those. So what I really wish more than anything else is that I can find, and I know there'll be some bad apples along the way, and I will have to just be strong and ditch them, but I need some doctors that are going to actually listen. They don't have to listen to a 15-minute diatribe from me, but they have really got to just start organizing what's going on and then move me from there. If they can't help me, one of the best things that a doctor could say to me is, I don't know, I can't help you. Let me recommend you to so-and-so. Instead of just, well, I think you're depressed. Well, who the hell wouldn't be depressed at this point with everything I've gone through and with your physical body doing this? The other thing is someone had pointed out to me, which is true. I said that, I always feel as if, well, I'm not as worse off as such and such, because, there's always someone worse off than you. And so you kind of downplay what you're going through. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm sick as hell. I'm not having a life. I'm not enjoying myself. Whether you are in a wheelchair, whether you have cancer, it's not the same thing. I'm going through my own thing, and I deserve every bit of attention as you deserve. I deserve every bit of doctors paying attention to what's going on with me. Unless you can fix what's going on with me, I'm going to be stuck in this situation, and the situation I'm in now is no longer acceptable. I am tired of not being able to do what I want to do. I am tired of not having friends, which is a double-sided thing. I mean, number one, people should be a little bit more accepting of what goes on in other people's lives. But the second thing is I understand that point of view too. I can't hang out. So what kind of friendship is that to them? but I'm tired of being stuck, and I really at this point don't care. I'm willing to sacrifice 2 to 5 years of my life of them messing me up or doing test after test after test. I'd rather have that than end up living to be 70 years old, just sitting here in my room or in the living room not being able to do anything. It's just not acceptable to me. And when it comes right down to it, I'd much rather, with certain medications, definitely, like I said, I want to educate myself on more of them, but the ones that I would pick, they are not without side effects. And when I say medication, I'm not talking about psychiatric medication. I'm talking about medication to control what could be going on, whether that be beta blockers or sulfur drugs or like steroids like prednisone. They come with their risk. At the same time, depending on that, I would rather live to be 50 years old and be free to do whatever the hell I want than sit here and be 90 and just have sat here from my 30s all the way to then, if that, makes sense. And so I can hear now people be like, oh, well, that's how I feel about, benzodiazepines. Well, that's your own decision, but you wouldn't be able to sit there from your 30s to your 90s taking a benzo. More than likely, especially if you're someone like me, you're going to reach tolerance withdrawal. And as soon as you hit that tolerance, it's going to be a nightmare. They're going to keep upping your dose, and that's a whole different category of drugs. Same thing with, the sleeping medications like Lunesta and Ambien. So I didn't suddenly change my philosophy. It's just simply there is other drugs that might have to be taken for a while. Just like I looked at some of the old literature about some of the sulfur drugs, and it's like now they tell you, well, if you do have ulcerative colitis, you must take this drug for the rest of your life. That's a bunch of bull. People in the past never had to take it for the rest of their life. They took it until they went into remission, and that's exactly what I would do. And also I have to remind myself, as do people who watch me, you are in ultimate control of things. Like, no one's forcing me to have the colonoscopy. That's a decision I have to make, and unfortunately, if something goes wrong, that is a decision that I made. Just like a doctor can prescribe all the drugs they want, and I don't have to take them. I mean, I could fill them, say that I'm taking them, and not be taking them, or I can just simply say to the doctor, this is not the method that I want to use to get well. And the last thing is, I need to know exactly what is going on inside my body, because at this point it's guesswork. And I'm very much a believer in alternative treatments, but unfortunately, suppose if, let's just use ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease. If you have ulcerative colitis, the natural treatments for that might be entirely different than the natural treatments for Crohn's disease, for example. So if you're guessing, you could be making what's actually wrong with you worse. And so I need to know what's happening. Why is this happening? Okay, you think I'm crazy. Next doctor, please. Next test, next test, next test. And another thing I'm not going to do is, look, if they do a blood test on me within a matter of like a month, and I'm not going to go to another doctor and have that test repeated. It's ridiculous. No, you pull the lab results. This is what I got before. Nothing much has changed. And I've been sick much longer than this anyway. So there's nothing that is changing with me as far as the most simple blood tests like the CBC and all that stuff. So they need to start going a little bit outside the box. But I think I have to be more forceful. If you're sick like me, be forceful. As scary as that is, and no matter how much rejection you get. And also, like I said before, even with the benzo withdrawal, it's the same thing applies. I don't care if your friends ditch you. I don't care if your family ditches you. I don't care if people think you're crazy or you're weird for making YouTube videos and telling your whole life, or you're just like, it's all in your head. Ignore them. They're idiots. Their time will come where they're facing this. More than likely. And when they do, they'll want all the sympathy in the world for it. And people like us want sympathy to a point, but we're more interested in investigating further what's going on. And so that's where I stand right now. So like I said, I'm not looking forward to the nicotine withdrawal, but it has to be done. I had a hard time breathing after my appendectomy when they had taken the breathing tube out. And I mean, I was really it felt like fiberglass was all through my bronchial tubes. I could not breathe at all. And I remember kind of like, I was really drugged, but I remember hearing like, it's because he's a smoker. And then I remember hearing like an Asian woman with her accent saying he has a lot of allergies. And that's how I ended up getting this Benadryl shot that I was given at that point. But it was because when I wake up in the morning, it feels like that, only it was like 10 times worse because I had surgery with a breathing tube. So it needs to end. It's not benefiting my life whatsoever. It is not going to help what illness I have, and probably it's making any illness I do have way worse, or going to contribute to more things. And plus, anyway, I remember a time where everyone smoked when I was younger in high school, and now it's like no one smokes. So I'm already shunned as it is. Like people are like, "Oh, you smoke," and but I do remember a time, before. I mean, when I was in high school, you could actually still go to the store and they didn't ID you, and most places didn't ID you. It wasn't a big deal. You could even buy single cigarettes. And although when I was in high school, everyone knew that it caused cancer, as a teenager, it's just not in your mind. So I had really picked up cigarettes somewhere around 14 years old, and I had quit briefly, and then I went back. It's like the worst decision ever. So if you're not a smoker, don't ever do it because you will regret it eventually. It doesn't add anything, whatsoever to your life. It only really hurts your life and makes anything in the future worse. Even if it's not directly an illness from the cigarette, it'll take your other illness and just really exacerbate it. So anyway, that's it for now, and wish me luck, and I'll talk to you all soon. Maybe I'll make a cranky video during withdrawal, who knows. If that happens, just know I'm in withdrawal and everything. So, alright, I'll talk to you all later, and have a good day. Through severe pain. Now, why I even go through the severe pain from it is I have no idea, which is why I'm having the colonoscopy done. That's the other thing too. It's like this week I'm using as a detox for myself. After midnight, I'm going to quit smoking. I will not have any cigarettes in this apartment. I'm not going to leave this apartment, and he doesn't fly back until October 1st. So I'm just going to do it and get it over with. I know some of you might be thinking, oh no, you probably won't, but no, I'm going to home. I went to bed a couple hours after that, and then I've been up again since midnight last night, so I'm a little bit tired. It's now almost 11:30 my time in the afternoon, so which wouldn't be that big of a deal if I had slept 8 hours, but I did not sleep 8 hours, and I need a lot more sleep than just a few hours here and there, but that's neither here nor there. I'm doing this video mostly because this is the end of any happy fun time for me. I had spoken in the last video about when I have something bad happen to me, I go back to old patterns, and I can't afford to do that anymore because it ends up making me even worse. For example, I ended up getting way more cramps, much more fatigue, much more insomnia when I was eating poorly after that other event that I had talked about that had kind of scared me. What's really weird though is I'm annoyed and I'm displeased because, look, everyone has problems, but at the same time it pisses me off a little bit. I mean, why can't I just eat what everyone else is eating? I'm not saying that eating anything you want is healthy. It's just that I know that most people are able to go out there and have a couple Cokes or Pepsis and go to McDonald's or go to Wendy's or have TV dinners or cake or ice cream or anything, and they're not going. Hey guys, I'm back. I've been sleeping a little bit more normal. I haven't had as many nightmares, so that's good. I took Keith to the airport yesterday, and so that was kind of a challenge because I woke up around midnight and I was trying to play with my sleeping schedule all week long, so that wouldn't happen, but it did anyway. So I was dead tired when I had to drive him there, but that went okay anyway. I came